Welcome to Fantasy Filmball's coverage of the 37th Annual Virginia Film Festival. This is episode 2. My name is Dyl. I guess cosplaying as Art Donaldson from Challengers because, while I love this festival, it brings in so many big stars like Mikey Madsen in our last episode, major acclaimed films like what we will be seeing later on in this episode, and just a great selection of films from all across the world. It does, however, take place during Halloween weekend, so kind of mixing both worlds here, a little Halloween action with this costume as well as seeing films. Today, it's going to be a good day because we are seeing On Becoming a Guinea Fowl as well as Memoirs of a Snail, including a Q&A with the film's director. I'm super excited for today, so let's dive into episode 2 here. One of the many things I enjoyed of Matt's coverage of the Toronto International Film Festival was how he kind of talked about all the theaters that he was attending and the pros and cons. Last night I went to Paramount. I'll save my little ramble and praise of that theater for next time I'm seeing a movie there, but up next we are seeing a film inside the Violet Crown. I'll show you once we go inside, but it's so comfy inside there. We got recliners, we got padded seats, the AC, it's blowing, it's cold in there, you get all cozy for a film. I'm a little bit on the taller side, so I have leg room for why I'm sitting there while I'm watching the films. Because this theater is an actual movie theater, they show films throughout the whole year, and if you're a resident of Charlottesville or you ever pass through the area, they sell movie posters. So if you're a collector of official theater grade posters, you can get them here. I have one for Avatar: The Way of Water, and I think I have one for Dune Part 1 from here as well. I have to check. Great theater. I'm excited to see our first film, On Becoming a Guinea Fowl. Let's dive inside. Here we are, the Violet Crown, including everyone's favorite here. Alright, it's really dark out here, so let me just stand in the light in this corner. I'm going to make this one kind of quick because the traffic getting over to the theater for Memoirs of a Snail took a little bit longer than expected. One more positive thing about the Violet Crown, the sound system in there, very immersive, very good. Another reason why that's the best theater. But On Becoming a Guinea Fowl offers this interesting exploration into grief as well as the complexities of unspoken truths inside a family and how ignoring it and pushing to the side and pretending like it doesn't happen just continues the cycle of abuse, which is very interesting, very intriguing, very original concept. To me, the execution didn't really work as a whole. Want to be positive though in this movie, it has an outstanding lead performance. Susan Chardy, she's amazing. This lead role really nails it. You can feel the grief in her character and the progression over the course of the film. Sorry I'm rushing, sorry I'm rambling. Let me walk into Snail because this is at the Colbert Theater, different theater here. I'll pan over to it in a second. This one, kind of hit or miss. I have a very bad history of films inside this theater. I've seen a lot of stinkers. Hoping this one will be a little bit different. But here you go. There's the theater. And we're right in the heart of UVA's campus.
So as I mentioned, the program tonight is truly one I most anticipated of the festival, and that is because you're in for a fantastically strange and evocative, emotional, hilarious, and I think truly, absolutely brilliant ride with Memoir of a Snail, made through the creation of miniature objects, characters, and settings. You will not find anywhere on screen any computer-generated imagery. We are deeply honored, right? We are deeply honored to have Adam with us tonight. He leans into the notion that is precisely our quirks and our challenges, the very elements that many of us feel like outsiders aching to belong. It is those idiosyncrasies, those imperfect characteristics that we may desperately seek to hide from the world at large that connect us. They're the things that make us funny, that make us human, that make this whole Herculean enterprise of living possible to get through, possibly even to enjoy and to celebrate. His maverick spirit and visionary dedication to the craft have not only been recognized by the most prestigious film festivals around the globe and the critical community, but also by our leading actors. It is no accident that Philip Seymour Hoffman, Toni Collette, Jeffrey Rush, Eric Bana, and Sarah Snook, among others, have flocked to be part of his creations. And you too are flocked here tonight, and I think you will be all the richer for it. So without further ado, I'd like you to join me in welcoming to the stage our 2024 Achievement in Animation Award winner, Elliot.
Afterwards, this is a huge honour. Normally you don't get these awards until you die. And I've been touring all over America and Europe with this new film you're about to see, and none of the artists who helped me make the film, nor my producer, nor any of our investors really had any expectations of what has been happening. The film has really been touching people's hearts all over the world, and that's a big relief because the film took 8 years to make, and you know, it could have all been a waste of time. My films are based on my family and friends, and what you're about to see, these blobs of clay are real people to me. When I write my screenplays, I imagine them as real people and not just cartoon characters. I won't say too much other than to reiterate what you're about to see is completely CGI free. Every frame is handmade, every prop, set and character is a real tangible tactile object that you could hold in your hands. It's a comedy, it's a tragedy. If you're not an emotional wreck by the end of the film, then I've failed. So please enjoy the film. And thank you for this award because animation often goes unrecognised. Recently we just won the London Film Festival, and I found out when I was getting off a plane, my producer contacted me and she said, "We just won the London Film Festival." And I said, "Oh, I didn't know they had an animation category." And she said, "No, we've won the whole thing." And,
an 8-year process to make. What is kind of the breakdown of that? Like, is it mostly the stop motion, or how long, what year was like maybe the script versus editing, etc.?
well, that's a good question, Marcus. It was 8 years, but then there was COVID. It took 3 years to write, so I'm a very slow writer, so I did 16 drafts of the script. And then 3 years to finance. Actually, it took longer to finance than it did to actually animate. The shoot was 33 weeks. We had 7 animators doing 5 to 10 seconds a day for 33 weeks, 50-hour weeks. It took 16 weeks to make everything you just saw. So there's 200 characters, 200 sets, and we guessed between 5,000 and 7,000 little snail props. And what else? And then post-production, 6 months to record all the music, the orchestra, the editing, colour grading. Yeah. This is my 7th film, so I'm planning on making a trilogy of trilogies, 3 short shorts, 3 long shorts and 3 features. So I've done 7, I've got 2 left and then I can die. And, my aesthetic is what I call chunky wonky, so everything looks slightly asymmetrical, lumpy, and that's because I was born with a physiological tremor, which my mother has, my grandfather has, so I can't draw a straight line, I can't thread a needle. I don't know why I'm an animator, because I really can't. I've given up that bit. But yeah, so instead of trying to, control these lines, I've learned to embrace the wonkiness, and instead of trying to aim for refined puppets and a refined look, I said, oh, let's stuff it. Let's just go for, stuff that's asymmetrical and wobbly. And that matches the characters too, because they're imperfect as well. They're perceived as being imperfect. And all my films are about celebrating imperfection, which is why in the film I have the art form kintsugi, which is a real Japanese art form celebrating the brokenness of bowls, but of us as well. So yeah, the aesthetic stems from all that. And this little puppet's probably worth over $10,000 in terms of hours it took to make her. Her arms are magnetic, her eyeballs are magnetic, we can move her little pupils around. Her hat is silicone, and yeah, she had over 20 or so mouths, or probably more mouth shapes as well. So it's a very complex art form. And as I said, everything you saw tonight was handmade. Even the fire was yellow cellophane, all the cigarette smoke was cotton wool, and all the water in the film, all the rivers and tears, everything of that nature was sexual lubricant. So we ran out actually in Australia.
My main question would just be what was the hardest aspect of creating this film? Because like you said, it took 8 years to make.
Financing was probably the hardest, followed by the technical aspects of a low budget. Like we decided to get rid of warping, because warping was just, it was challenging. We got rid of fabric, so this is the first film I've made without fabric at all. But having limited budgets also forces you to think laterally, and you often come up with better solutions. So sometimes too much money is actually a negative. You know, you've got to be focusing on the story the whole time and not the actual animation. You know, if you turn down the volume in my films, the animation's pretty average.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, you know, we didn't even get time to do take 2s or 3s. Everything was first take. So yeah.
All right, Memoirs of a Snail surpassed all my expectations. It had insanely good word of mouth from people in the community. Ezra, I know, loves this movie. Matt, he's raved about it. Jan likes this movie as well. But yeah, I'm at a loss for words. This thing was so beautifully animated that it's just this fantastic look at life and the journey forward. It's so comedic at times, and it's very heartwarming. It's tear-inducing. And most importantly, it's this vulnerable experience of self-reflection and embracing the imperfections of each and every one of us. I feel like Adam Elliott's newest film, I haven't seen his other films, I haven't seen his short films. This makes me want to rush out to go watch those because this thing is so fantastic. It's a beautiful film and I loved it dearly. It comes out in a week, so if you're out there, you're seeing this video, or if you're seeing this video in the future, go out and see this film in a theater, rent it online. IFC is distributing it, so it should be getting at least a decent theatrical release here in the States. But there's so many things I can rave about this movie. The acting, the animation, as I said before, is some of the best in years. And it's so funny. Like, you aren't expecting a movie like this to make you laugh and giggle, and I feel like that's how this film hits the hardest, is the comedy elements. It helps elevate those dramatical elements that we get throughout the rest of the film. I won't lie and say this is a perfect movie. There's at least 2 plot developments that I didn't exactly jive with, even though I get their implications and I get their resonance inside the story. I found the execution of those kind of to be out of left field, even if they were impactful in those moments and maybe perfect for where those characters were trying to go. Just would have wished for it to go in a little bit of a different direction, but don't let that derive you from my praise of this movie. It is maybe not the best of the fest so far, but it's going to be one of my favorites of the 37th Annual Virginia Film Festival. And with that being said, it's Halloween, art, challengers. He's ready to experience Charlottesville. But that's a wrap on day 2 here at the 37th Annual Virginia Film Festival. Interesting enough, 2 films about grief inside a family. It's kind of funny how festivals program, I know that's what a programmer's job is, but how they program films that relate to each other that you never would have guessed. An international film as well as a stop motion animated film with such similar themes. We love it. That's what film festivals are about. But till tomorrow, till day 3, this is Dyl, this is Fantasy Filmball. Peace.